It being 7:04, I am calling the Select Board meeting for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 to order. Is anyone here for public comment? Nope. Next is the review of minutes for multiple meetings.
So, Madam Chair, I wanted to go back and just check against the meeting. Just going through the meeting minutes, I saw that there was some the meeting minutes captured most of what was going on. But there were things that were not in there where there just seemed to be a little bit of an inconsistency with how some of the events were documented and some of the events were not. And I think just in the fairness of being consistent, I think that there's a few things that should be added. So I'm happy to talk about them, or I'm happy to send them in writing, and if people wanted to review them or however. But
Do you want to do that?
yeah, sure.
Okay. Is it just one meeting or is it multiple?
Just the
meetings?
25th.
The 25th, okay. So let's table, do we have to vote to table? No. Let's table the meetings for March 25th. If you can either mark something up
Yeah.
or send a follow-up email to that would be great. We also are looking at April 1, April 2, April 10, April 23.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 1st, April 2nd, April 10th, and April 23rd.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 5-0. Next, we have a tax livery license renewal. We've received an application, an application for an annual livery license renewal. Jacqueline, do you want?
No, go ahead.
Jacqueline Ball
What was it?
Desari, doing business as the taxi livery ride at 423 Water Street in Clinton.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the taxi livery license renewal for Jacqueline Baldessari, doing business as the taxi livery ride at 423 Water Street in Clinton.
I'll second.
Let's go what you have, is that since you didn't do this much anymore. All right.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Okay, we have the 2025 annual town meeting final draft of the warrant. It is being prepared for approval. Final draft of the warrant has been prepared for approval by the select board after review by town council for the annual town meeting. Okay. Has there been any change since the last time we've seen this?
For the warrant,
Yes.
it's just looking on this for the board to take a final vote for approval. The only changes since the last packet, there were two articles that were added. One was the additional FY25 money for the rubbish fund and for the water sewer. I know the board earlier this year had raised rates on those two accounts because they were running tight. And it appears, especially with the rubbish one, because of the rate increase, that they were going to be short. So out of their surplus from FY24 surplus, the accountant was asking if there could be some additions to put in to get to the end of the year. If the money isn't used, it'll just close out at the end of the year. So that Article 9 and 10, I believe, the 175 and the 150, but that comes from the enterprise fund, so that wasn't impacting the general budget. And health insurance trust fund, the finance committee, between the subcommittee, had talked about 150 at that level, and the stabilization fund at $500,000 to put money into those accounts. And then a couple of the other, some of the other public works projects, they funded in the budget that were part of the enterprise fund, some of the water projects that were put into the enterprise fund, so they put those capital spending into that instead of having, I think it maybe eliminated 3 or 4 articles that went into the water sewer budget. So I think those were the, mostly the changes that took place since the last warrant, but other than that, it's fairly, pretty much intact of the one that you've seen. So it's just looking for final approval to be published in the paper for the town meeting. And it's been reviewed by town council, so all the wording that you have in the packet is all the final wording that will be published.
Okay, I have a question about that, actually. Under Article 29, this is a submission by the Personnel Board. It's 5.2-4, labeled termination. It says, there's just some very weird wording here, I just want to clarify. It says, whenever employment is terminated by dismissal through no fault or delinquency on the part of the employee, or by retirement or entrance into the military. Okay, it says, the employee shall be an amount equal to the vacation allowance as earned and not granted in the vacation year prior to such termination. Is there words missing there? Or does that make sense to anybody else? The employee shall be an amount equal?
Sounds like there's words missing.
Yeah. Or if it's correct, if someone could explain to me what that means.
So maybe it should be shall receive an amount equal to the vacation allowances earned. So I'll have to check that. Yeah. Okay.
We'll have to check, and that's not new verbiage, we'll just have to confirm what's in that code.
Right.
The only change is though, what's underlined.
Yeah,
What
because
the
I think the only change that they're looking to make is the underlined, and the strike through and the underlined part, so the other part is the existing bylaw that won't be changed through this warrant article, but we'll check the language on that, yeah. And it does sound like it should say the employee shall receive an amount, but we'll take a look at that, thank you.
Okay, so the only changes to 5.3-2, verse about accumulation of sick leave. So they want it, sick leave shall accumulate from year to year to a maximum of 240, and now they want to increase it to 360?
Well, yeah, I
That's
think
the
that's
change?
been a historical conflict there, that the wording said 240, but the parentheses said 360. So I think the Personnel Board is looking to have the wording reflect what was in the parentheses.
Yeah, again, so the strike through is what's being deleted from the current language, and then the 360 is being added. So if you look at the language right now, it says year to a maximum of 240, yet it has, then it says 360 days. So it was
Okay.
inconsistent, so they're changing that. Just to reflect that, they're changing the verbiage to 360 to match the number.
But then below, it says, in the next one, am I not reading this correctly? It says, in another termination of employment, it says accumulate sick leave to a maximum of 240, parentheses, 240 days.
Right.
Is that not the same thing?
Yep, so that's all new, because with that, they still wanted to maintain that if you were, at termination, you can buy back a percentage of your sick time. So they wanted to cap the buyback at 240 days. So I think people can carry 340 if you need to use sick time, but if you leave, you can't get reimbursed for only up to 240.
360, you said 340.
Oh, I'm sorry, 360 that you
Right.
can accumulate, but then
Correct.
240 would be the maximum reimbursement. It's at 20%. 20 years of service, 20% buyback up to 240 days. So that's always been the standard. It's just, I think they just wanted to clarify that the cap is 240.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Did the Personnel Board put this forth?
They did.
Yeah.
So is someone from the Personnel Board going to be able to explain what they're doing here? Because if we're confused, I imagine, and I was curious about the zoning stuff too. I'm sure Phil can talk about the floodplain, but is he going to talk about the storage containers and whatever this other one is?
I know Phil was going to speak to the floodplain, but the
Yeah.
storage containers, I think, was offered by the planning board, so we'd have to, I can reach out to them and ask them.
It'd be great if they expect it to pass.
Yeah, I'm sure the planning board, I mean, the personnel board will be there, but I can reach out to the planning board, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we ever know, like, who puts these on? Like, we have, Public Works, Select Board, but then we don't have, like, Personnel Board.
Yeah, that's where I get nervous. I mean, that people,
Yeah.
if we've been at town meeting before, we know that people have questions, and if no one's out there presenting in it, it's just an empty vacuum. It's just, and I'm sure these are well-intentioned articles, but if no one's there to defend it and people are looking at us, unless someone's going to tell me what to say,
Yeah, no, I'm sure someone from personnel board will be there. Yep, absolutely.
But can we, like, denote that on
Well,
here?
Sean, on that 29, on the 240 and the 260, that's been discussed for a long time, so I think they're just trying to clean that, as Michael said, clean that language up.
No, I understand that. I just don't know who the "they" is.
Yeah,
And-
'cause I
and
think
I know people, if I don't know, then I guarantee
Yeah.
there's a couple hundred people in the audience who aren't going to know either, and
Yeah.
we're going to be sitting there.
And there were some questions about 29, people thinking that it was the human resources manager putting these on, but it's actually the personnel board. So I just want to be clear, like, who's.
I'm not speaking in opposition. I
No, I'm just
just
saying
want
who's
someone to be able to
proposing
defend
it
these
so that
things.
we can direct them to the correct audience.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm sure that the personnel board, because this has been discussed in the past, is fully prepared to speak to that article, so.
I want to assume,
I
but
mean,
No,
I can't speak for
honestly,
any of the other committees.
That's more what I was
Yeah.
worried about. I have no doubt the personnel board can support that. There have been issues before.
Yeah, because if
with
you look
other
at like
zoning.
Article 14, 15, right, you have community television,
Yeah.
emergency management, facilities and grounds, and then when you get down to the
yeah, there's
the
nothing.
boards, that's not listed. Yep.
And they're complicated, which
Yeah.
they have to be because they're zoning, but I don't know what 31 is about. I can guess 32 seems to be about the, excess use of those container boxes. That I can get. I'm trying to read this one and,
Yeah, 30 and 31 are both the flood maps, so.
oh, that's flood too? 31?
Yeah,
Okay,
those both are together,
okay, thank you.
32 is,
32 is about container.
is separate, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then 33 was it's a zoning issue too, but it's a citizen petition.
I'm gonna circle back. Where's my early upset now?
Sorry, 33 is a
Citizens petition
no,
for
but
the,
did you say another one was a citizen's petition?
no,
Oh.
we have one citizens petition.
Oh, just one.
Right. Okay.
is the language for Article 33 adequate? Is that?
No, I'll speak to that.
Last I heard, Phil's office was working with them on a potential amendment. Is that still the case, or should I reach out on
I
that?
haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
But as written,
No, and I told them that too, so, they're aware. I think someone from Phil's office, either Lee or Phil, had popped in last time I was up there with my dog. about the potential of making an amendment on the floor, but I know that has to be vetted too, so.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, it's something that definitely should be looked at, no doubt about it. But as written now,
Yep.
it's not there.
And we said, and these have all been reviewed, they're all legally,
Yep,
like,
yep, Mr. Gibbons has gone through it
they
all. Yep.
don't conflict with any other, no
Yeah.
red flags or anything?
Right, yep.
All right,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Do you want to put, just make sure it has the amended language?
How about, you wanna make it?
No. I mean, I can do it,
Let's go for it.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the draft town meeting warrant contingent on, so what number is that one?
the one for the personnel board,
33?
for
That's
the
30.
33.
29?
Wait, are you talking about the dog?
No, that one's on their own. I'm talking about the personnel board.
It was 29.
Yeah, I move that we approve the draft annual town meeting warrant contingent on review of language for Article 29 to make sure that it actually reflects the bylaw as it's on the books now.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. All right, we now have the fiscal year 2026 annual town budget review. Finance Committee has presented a final draft of the fiscal year 2026 town budget. We are holding a public hearing on 5/22, just tomorrow, and will complete any changes from that hearing to file with the town clerk by the end of the week. What time is that hearing?
What time's the hearing tomorrow, the public hearing?
6 o'clock, I'm sorry. Yep,
Okay.
so pay attention.
Can we just
Yeah.
have a quick conversation about that piece?
Sure.
So, tomorrow, my understanding is that the Finance Committee will not have quorum to be able to take a vote to make changes.
I think they were able to secure a quorum, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, so they will have enough.
Well, that's good news. And then I think there should be consideration for reviewing the annual budget timeline, because I feel like every year we get to a point where we're kind of, our backs against the wall, and there's not ample time to review everything or to go back and forth. So I don't know if there's a possibility, or, you know, what other timelines in other municipalities look like, but it seems like it would be beneficial to start maybe a month or two earlier, so then, when we do get to this point in the budget, calendar, that, if there's changes that need to be made, there's enough time to look into it and, finalize it in time for, putting the notice in the newspaper and whatnot. I know we don't have any control over that portion, but, just for feedback purposes.
Do you foresee any reason why that couldn't be done? Michael?
I mean, there are dates in the bylaw as to when departments need to submit budgets. Certainly, if it's budgets under the select board, you can request, that, direct them to bring them in earlier. I suppose if it was an elected board, I guess they could say, well, no, it's not due until that date. But I'm sure everybody would work together and comply. So it would really just be working with the finance committee to try to set that date and back up the deadline as to when budgets are to be submitted. So, but yep, so I think that certainly could be done. I don't think anybody would, say, no, I'm not going to give it to you until I'm required to. There'll be, most people have been very cooperative.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem a little rushed at the end. I feel like we got the first version of the draft, and then we really didn't. I was asked to serve on that finance subcommittee, and I think the expectation, even people that asked me to join it, was that, yeah, there might be a handful of meetings between now and budget, and we just really had one, and then it was like, hey, we got to vote on this at the next meeting. So I was a little surprised that I was just going into it anticipating a couple meetings, a little bit of back and forth. So, I mean, it's not to say that the finance committee didn't try to compromise on some line items. They clearly did. But I agree with Selectman Kobus that I think I've been confused as to what the select board's role is in the budget since I've been on the board, because people present their budgets, we ask them questions, but then at the end of the day, like, unless we go the old school route of presenting an alternate budget, it seems like the finance committee just has final say, and I think at the where we ended, I think there was some collaboration, but it was a little bit more hostile than I remember, kind of discussing some particular budget items. And it's just, at the end of the day, it seems like the way this process is set up and the authority that the finance committee has, like, I really, short of presenting our own budget at town meeting, and I haven't witnessed that happen before. I've heard some colorful stories of how that has gone down in the past, and I think there's probably a reason why we want to avoid that. But I do think there's opportunity to better define the select board's role in the budget, to just ensure that the process is a little bit more collaborative between the select board and the finance committee. And to do that, I agree with Selectman Kobus. I think we would need a little bit more time to discuss the draft budget leading up to a final vote. So I agree, for future reference, I think that would be an improvement in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as we saw, like, their role is an important one, and I'm not sure, we can certainly, like, brainstorm some ideas, but I guess how do we bring them into some of the things that we're grappling with earlier, so that we are not, if we're moving towards different changes, how do we not start fresh at budget season? Because with needs usually comes a request for funding. I'm looking at similar towns. Their finance committee is meeting at least once a month, mostly twice a month. So we can certainly start to work with them, like, this summer, to see how we can improve upon the process. We did get some feedback from department heads, and at the beginning of this process, not sure we implemented all of the feedback, but I think just looking to improve upon it each year, I think would be helpful. And I think with something so important, we should definitely give it its just time. And that's not on necessarily to critique the finance committee. I know everyone is trying to make time after their work, after, you know, to working it in with their other obligations, so, I guess I just feel like if there's a process and a procedure that's outlined early, we can, you know, just, work off of that for the next year, so.
It would probably be a good subject for the Government Affairs Subcommittee. I know that that's not like a committee that meets regularly, but from time to time, if needs arise, or if there is a thought on how to make things more efficient. So for future reference, after the next election, when people are divvying up the subcommittees, that this could be an opportunity for that subcommittee to dig into that a little bit.
Sounds good. Okay. This is just our review, we're not, you don't have to endorse it, or?
No, just mostly informing the board where the finance committee is at, and tomorrow they'll have their hearing to get final input and then finalize the budget for filing on Friday.
Okay. Okay, next up is town administrator report.
I think, Madam Chair, I think the past week has really been taken up with the warrant and budget and borrowing and that, so I don't have anything specific to report. I know just the email that we sent out, just talking about borrowing for the school, and hoping that if the board or through the chair, maybe could set a date for next week to approve the bond sale. That would be great. I think it was looking based on feedback, maybe Tuesday or Thursday, so I don't know what everyone's schedule is on those dates for next week, how that looks. So,
Can make either work.
Okay.
Whatever works for everybody else.
29th?
Yeah. Is the 29th work for everybody? No?
Oh, yes, it does.
I'm on vacation, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay,
I mean, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know if you could still move forward without.
Yeah.
But
right. Mary, are you around on
Yep,
Thursday?
whenever.
Okay. All right, let's do the 29th. If that is a majority.
great, thank you.
Yep.
What time?
7 work?
That's great, thank you.
It's just to do that thing? It's just to sign off on the borrowing, right?
Right.
Do you want to do it earlier?
Yeah, so you could do that.
I mean,
anytime.
6,
There
6:30?
might be,
I don't get off the train till 6.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 7's fine.
No, I mean, I can probably be here by 6, so give me a
Nope.
buffer.
Nope. Select board.
and I'll talk with the chair, there might be an update on one other issue, but nothing, no full agenda or no lengthy meeting, just really signing up on the borrowing and then update on one other matter that
Okay.
I'd like to discuss, so that's great. Thank you very much for
Okay.
your accommodation, and that'll help move that along. and, Be helpful.
So we said the 29th, correct?
29th, yeah. Okay, thank you. Water sewer trash abatements. Superintendent of Public Works has recommended a list of water sewer trash abatements from the previous billing cycle.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the water sewer trash abatements in the amount of $1,086.88 as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. All right, on to old and new business. We have a one-day liquor license request. The VFW Post 523 is requesting a one-day liquor license in conjunction with their annual Memorial Day open house on 5/26/25 to serve outdoors.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the VFW's post 5/23 one-day liquor license for the Memorial Day open house on 5/26/2025.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. All right, Eddie Collins Annual 5K Road Race Route. Ellen and Samantha Collins are requesting permission to hold the second annual Eddie Collins 5K Road Race on Saturday, October 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. along the same route it was used last year.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the request to hold the second annual Eddie Collins 5K road race on Saturday, October 2nd, 2025 at 11 a.m. along the same route that was used last year, contingent upon approval or by the police chief and the fire chief.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. Discussion of recycling center residents-only policy. Recycling center coordinator John Cobb is requesting consideration to make a residents-only policy for the Clinton Recycle Center. He's experiencing an increase in volume of materials from out of the area that is overwhelming staff and escalating costs of the operation.
So just putting this forward, Madam Chair, you don't need a vote or anything tonight. If you want to talk about it, discuss it, research it. But I think there's been some period of time now that Mr. Cobb has been bringing to the attention that we're almost becoming a regional recycle center over at the Woodlawn Street. Some towns only allow residents, some towns that don't have recycle center, or some towns that their prices are much higher than ours. So where we don't check people coming in, we're starting to get a lot of volume. And if they're a regular resident, or a regular volume of a regular household person, that's fine. But what he's starting to see now is, you'll see by the photos that I put in the packet, that people are coming with trailer loads of mattresses. So, I don't think that's like someone in their house that just bought a new bed and they need to get rid of the mattress. Somebody's collecting them, either in a apartment commercial operation, or they're doing an apartment operation where they're getting rid of them, or a commercial operation where they're picking them up from people's houses and then bringing them here to dispose. So the board did set prices that allowed us to cover the cost of the disposal of the mattress, but it's now started to increase the cost of other things, where there was the bulky waste bin, where it takes like furniture and hard to recycle material. That might get emptied every 2 weeks, and it was every week, and now he said it's probably twice a week now that they're emptying that, and that's all per ton. So the more that gets, things get charged for a certain item, so it's hard to put in context of, is all of those stickers paying for the cost of that bin? It's hard to really kind of categorize that. We are covering the mattresses, but then there's trucking charges and there's employee staff time and that we're adding it to. So I think just, he's brought it to my attention a couple times, and we said we'd monitor, see how it's going. And now with these recent pictures of these volumes that are coming in, he wanted at least to see if we could bring it forward to the board. So just for discussion and something the board can consider in the future.
Madam Chairman, Go
ahead.
I have actually been down there when some of the mattresses have come in, and that's been a problem for a long time. And I know that, I don't know what we went up to, but I know that the city of Marlboro, I think, is $65 a mattress, and that's the problem.
Yep.
And I know that there's a bed bug issue, and why should our people that are working for us have to tolerate and put up with that? And I think that really we should not just think about doing it. I think we should move some action really tonight. Give them some authority to, number one, I would be in favor of just making it for Clinton people until we can really look at the whole overall issue of it. I don't see how we could be making money down there. We're certainly taking a lot of other towns' trash into our recycling center, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that we should delay action on.
The, Mr. Kerrigan and I had, we had met with Mr. Bartlett some time ago, you know, reviewing the pricing and, you know, with the bed bugs and just the, you know, the mattresses, if they're left out in the elements, they get heavy. You know, and there were different ideas that were tossed around as far as, you know, mattress bags possibly needing to be purchased. So then that way, if they're bagged, they're protected from the elements, it improves the conditions that the employees are working within
Yeah.
and so on. I agree that action needs to be taken. I'm also of the mindset that if we increase prices for out-of-town residents to the point where, you know, it can offset the cost for the Clinton residents, I would be open to that discussion, and if it needs to be Clinton only, then I'm open to that discussion as well. But I have seen a few mattresses on the side of the road over like on Willow Road over in Clinton, Berlin. And I just have a feeling that, you know, we may see more and more debris on the side of the road. If people are coming this way and they can't get rid of something, they'll find a way to place it before they leave.
Like out of town people?
Yeah, that would be my guess, because, you know,
Yeah, but that shouldn't
It's a
be,
shoot,
that shouldn't be
yeah.
something that would prevent us from doing that, Matt. I mean, just because that could happen, that's still not protecting the Clinton people.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, you know, that's the most important thing. It's taking care of what's right for the Clinton people. I mean, these
Yeah.
people see it that are working down there. They see it every day, so very clearly, there's a big problem down there, and has been for quite a long time. And I think it's our job to give these people down there the support that they need.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like, I don't know if we have the infrastructure down there to really accommodate everybody. And I guess, to Mary's point, I feel like we need to like shore up what's happening for our residents locally first. If we then wanna, maybe, my thought is kind of stop the bleeding down there in terms of people just dropping things off because we're the most affordable, even though we just raised the prices, but my suggestion is let's do that. If in the future, there's, I mean, in-town rates, out-of-town rates, to try and, I mean, we could try to, I don't know if it would ever be like a revenue generator, but if they're, you know, if you show your license and you are a Clinton resident, you get this fee, and then if you are out of town, you get another fee, but looking at some of these photos, I feel like we just need to kind of maybe shore up what's going on right now. But open to any other,
yeah, I mean, I think even on the mattress scenario, you know, if you set a limit, you know, that you can bring 2 mattresses and 2 box springs per delivery, then,
yeah, limited.
you know, whatever, I mean, to see trailers come in, if we do you know, if it were to be resident only, and someone has a Clinton ID, then they can bring in 25 mattresses and
Yeah.
box springs.
Yeah.
That doesn't really
Solve the problem.
address the issue. But
Yeah.
if it becomes a matter of, you know,
But do you really think you'd see that? I don't think we'd see that.
just based on that
somebody's doing it.
picture.
Yeah, something, I know.
But I mean, can
don't
you
know.
verify that that's a Clinton person that's doing it? That's what I'm saying.
But
I
you
mean, if
can't
you're-
not
If you
either.
have to show ID and you have to verify that you're from Clinton, I think you're gonna see a lot less of that.
But I do think there's people who get around the system.
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
if-
there
I think-
always is. You're never
Yeah.
gonna clear it up 100%. I
But I
don't
mean,
care
I
what you
can't,
do.
I mean, we say this is out of town people, well, do we know?
We don't.
I don't
I-
disagree.
Well, I know the day I was there, that they were out-of-town people.
Okay.
They weren't from Clinton people
It-
the day I was there, so I can only speak from the
With
day
this-
that I was there, so.
Okay.
It sounds like we're all in agreement that we should move towards a Clinton-only policy. I think other board members are just bringing up the point that doing that alone might not resolve the issue that's down there. So in the future, we may want to get some feedback on updating the policy even for Clinton residents as well. So somebody
Right.
doesn't have the ability to dump 15 mattresses down there or whatever, whatever's going on. But it sounds like, at least the way I think about this and the way I'm hearing people talk, it seems like we're kind of generally in agreement that this should be a Clinton-only usage. Mike, is it fair to say, not to put you on the spot, but I'm assuming there's no concern that cutting that out-of-town people out wouldn't have a negative impact as in regards to less revenue, because we do charge, right, for some of the recycling services? So I'm just thinking that that's not really a big concern of theirs, right?
Right, no, it's more, the center was more developed as a convenience for townspeople. It started when the trash fee went into effect to give people an opportunity to reduce the volume of what they put in their trash because we were paying for trash.
Okay.
So it's actually, and in this budget, we end up having to go up. So between the tipping fee and the personnel, there's $100,000 in the budget that supports that recycle center. You can't match the revenue because the revenues are by sticker, and all the sticker revenue goes to the rubbish account, rubbish fee. So when somebody buys a line of stickers, you don't know if they're gonna put it on their trash bag or if they're putting it on a mattress.
Gotcha.
So it's hard to say how much of that revenue is offsetting the 100,000, but we are appropriating $100,000 to run that service. So I think it certainly would help just reduce the cost that we're spending, but it shouldn't impact anyone's ability to bring stuff there, so.
Okay. If I would, and the board has the authority to set this policy, it doesn't have to go to, all right.
No,
I'll-
recycle centers under the
Yeah, I
select
was gonna say, the
board.
Yeah.
recycle center is us,
I'll-
under our
I'll-
purview for some reason.
Madam Chair,
And
I'll make a,
Before you jump into that, would you include maybe just put a cap on how many mattresses and box springs?
I would think, we could do that at this. I was thinking, why don't we just get this settled
Okay.
now, and then we can have a discussion with the recycling center on what they think would be an adequate amount to cap mattresses. So, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we adopt a Clinton resident-only policy for usage of the Clinton Recycling Center.
I will second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, how are we gonna enforce this?
Yeah. Well, the Stoughton one said, show your license.
Is he willing to check IDs?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think and that's what spoken with the staff, that if we're gonna put this in, then they're gonna
Yep.
need to, check IDs and ensure, and I don't know if we would have enough people to put someone at the gate all the time, but they should be then approaching people as they come in and making sure that their IDs are being checked.
Well, I think it's like anything, once you start something, it's gonna take a little bit to have people become used to the fact that it's for Clinton residents only, so, I mean, you're gonna have some,
yeah,
You
there's
know,
no immediate.
yeah,
And
at first
some-
you always do.
Right, and hopefully some of the big deterrent will be putting signage up. So people
Correct.
know as soon as they come, it's for Clinton residents only, and be prepared to show your identification.
Sure.
So hopefully that'll be a deterrent. And then enforcing it by checking licenses. At the beginning, it's gonna be hard, but then over time, it should start to get easier.
Could you look into the sticker? Could we look at the sticker scenario?
Yeah, I think that was an idea that the staff came up with. I don't know if that's, then is it a free sticker? And then do people want to put stickers on their cars nowadays? And then do you charge them? Do you give it for free? How do you, then people come down with the big load and they don't have their sticker on their windshield, so then they have to wait to come back, and go to town hall to get the sticker, or maybe they could be sold down there, but we try not to, or if they're free, then they could be, they could give them out, but if they're anything being sold, we try not to, put them in a position where they're taking cash and storing cash, down there on site, so that's why we went with the sticker, with the, affix the sticky stickers, but a sticker on their car, that's another idea as well too, I think it's.
I just didn't want to sign the
I've
guy
seen
up
this-
for something he wasn't
yeah.
willing to do.
Yeah,
But I think if
the
we
one asking for
start,
it?
I know, but he didn't say
Yeah,
it,
no.
so,
Yeah,
but he does have,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
He better figure it out, if he wants to do it.
but I mean, I think if we just start with, Clinton resident only, put postage up, and
Yeah.
then signage up and things like that, and, it's not gonna be like perfect, like I said, when you start, but you gotta start somewhere.
Right.
right, so is he, yeah,
Because like what, I mean, there'll have to be some more discussions on how to fine tune this, because what's to prevent somebody from just, everyone has friends from Clinton out of town, and somebody can just, hey, would you mind taking
Come
these
with
10
me.
10
Come with-
mattresses down for me? Like,
or just
so-
drive me down
But
there.
honestly, Ed, how long is that gonna last? I mean,
Yeah, I
my
don't-
friend's only gonna do it for so long, and then they're gonna just, I mean, it's like anything.
No, I agree, I think,
If it's $65 to get rid of a mattress in Marlboro,
Yeah.
and someone's, getting paid $40 to get rid of the mattress instead of the 65, and then I'll kick you $10 per mattress, like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's a
You know,
million,
there's
there's a
not gonna be
million
a
ways
lot of
around
people
it. Yeah,
already, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could be here for the next 3 hours coming up
Right.
with scenarios, but I
Yep.
mean,
I think it
I-
should work
I-
for people in Clinton.
yeah, I would just
And
move the end of discussion
we can
and
just
go forward with the vote.
refine it, yeah. All right, that's it for the discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0.
Madam Chair, just one quick point of clarification. I don't know if we made the motion for that road race. The packet is right. Might be last year's date. The second
Oh.
it's the 4th, this year. So I don't know if
Or
that's,
just amend?
yeah, could we amend that motion to, reflect that the date of the road race this year is October 4th, 2025?
Sorry.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Second?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry,
No, that's good to check.
it's in the packet, right? It's just,
Now, do we have to vote on it, now that we just amended it? Oh, okay.
I think it's good. I don't even know if we mentioned the date in the thing. I just want to cover it.
Okay,
Friend Sanford's back.
annual appointments to boards and commissions. A list of expiring terms for members of boards and commissions has been developed for select board review. The previous policy was to advertise all positions and contact incumbent members to express interest if they are seeking reappointment.
So just looking if that, we would post, we're looking to post there are still some vacancies, and then looking to post all of them. I think what we've done the last couple of years is put all of them in there, and then we invite the incumbents to reapply, but then you can have consideration if there are other interests from the town as well.
And maybe because this is always at the top, but like the historical commission, their last agenda was like 2019. Like, do they meet? Is this like I mean,
we tried to because the
viable
person, the chair, had not been reappointed. So then it became this matter of who's gonna submit the agenda, and here we are, a year later.
okay, so their last meeting was 2019. Okay. I just don't want to focus on something that's not even really existing at this point.
Well, I mean, there's people that are interested, they had submitted a letter of interest to be appointed, we appointed them. I mean, who can set the agenda? Can someone just put an agenda to get them together?
Yeah, I guess I could just put a generic agenda and just tell everyone to show up, and when they show
Yeah.
up, then they can elect a chair, and then they can run from there, so we can certainly do that in the short term, yep.
I guess I'm like, for the term, it's a 3-year term expires 2025, but if they haven't met, like how, did we appoint them and then? And then it's just nothing.
They must must have just stuck it on.
Those are real people, I know those two people.
Right.
Actually, they're actually involved in things too, so.
Right, that's what I
They're
mean, so
patting
it's
their
not like
resume
they, yeah. That they probably expressed interest, but. Okay,
So one question, so if someone's term expires and the appointing authority is not obligated to reappoint someone, correct?
Right.
So if it expires, there doesn't need to be cause or a
Right.
reason.
Right.
Okay. All right,
yeah,
Okay.
gonna get lost in the.
no. Still looking for volunteers.
Conservation Commission needs somebody. Two people would be great.
Do you have a vacancy?
We have a person who we appointed who hasn't been showing up and has been radio silent,
Okay,
and me.
and you, yeah. So I guess from this, I'm not really sure, you know, if there's no, okay, there's enough people on the historical commission, but there's no chair, registrars, conservation commission, zoning board, personnel board, there's a vacancy. Council on Aging, term of each member not yet identified. Okay, yeah, I guess it would be very helpful if we could
Yep,
start
so
that
we'll
process.
Post the whole list. And
Yeah.
bring any applicants to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I guess also too, it is helpful to know like who else is on the board, like if,
Oh, okay.
like there's other people.
Can send that.
Like, do we have a list of who's on our boards in
Yep.
general?
Yep.
All right, next up. Onyx Auto Sales Vehicle Limit. The select board has received complaints about the number of vehicles housed on property at 291 Berlin Street. Onyx Auto Sales has a Class 2 dealer license with 6 vehicle limit to operate at that location. The building inspector and conservation agent has approached the business requesting that vehicles be removed that are over the license limit and/or within the wetlands buffer zone area, but have not received compliance.
Point of clarification, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Mr. Chair. No, go ahead. Mr. Chair.
I know Max went up there, I took pictures when I was in the neighborhood, and our conservation agent went up there, and noticed that there were more cars. I don't think he approached the owner, he just confirmed that it was an issue, and
Like he
asked, I don't think we've met since then, we're meeting next week, but his assessment, I mean, I'm counting here, I got 8 cars just on the front row, that might be 10. So if we got it down to 6, they're not gonna be, the wetlands are toward the back. So we can get on the wetlands, it's still gonna be 30. So we kinda figured if we took care of the 30, that might help with the wetlands. We're happy to amplify anything that the building inspector, but, I
Yeah,
don't know.
my understanding is that the zoning agent can send that owner of the license verification that if they don't clean it up within 30 days,
Yep.
that the Board of Selectmen, who are the license,
Yep,
actually approve the license, can revoke the license.
Right.
If they don't adhere to the provisions that it was a six-car license for the duration of the year,
yeah, that's one.
that's the procedure we have to set. So I would move that we notify the zoning agent to send notification to the holder of the license at that address and give him the 30-day notification. If he doesn't adhere to it, revoke the license.
Second.
So at this location, isn't there also a repair license as well?
Right, they
Yeah.
have repair and they do auto detailing as well, so I know in the past, when the building inspector has approached them, they've said, well, those cars we're working on and those cars we're detailing and, but it's still, I think the site can't accommodate as many vehicles that they have up there, but they are saying that, you know, other than the 6 for sale, that the other cars that they're working on. And even some, but they're not registered, so again, I guess we'll have to look into, can they have cars to detail or repair that aren't registered up there?
And that's exactly where I was going with this, is how does how are we able to distinguish or differentiate between, you know, what's being repaired? Cause I know that this has come up with other locations in town where there seems to be an excess of vehicles on the property. But you know, is it possible to even include a limit on how many vehicles can be out there for repair, or, 'cause it just seems to be,
Yeah, but the point is, we gave him 6. The gentleman came in here, he requested 6. There is no possible way at that little site that all of those vehicles that are 3 and 4 back into the wetlands, that he's gonna be, I have heard, I haven't seen it myself, so it's only hearsay, but I have heard, and people have seen them taking parts out of some of those vehicles that are sitting there, which is very probably obvious that some parts are being taken out to be serviced into something, some other vehicle. But you have to take a position, that's my stand on it, so,
I
mean,
don't
again,
disagree with you, I just
I
don't,
just-
I
I mean,
would
we
be-
don't even know, Matt, if they're even valid plates. They could be expired plates. I mean, do we want to become detectives? My point is, he came in for 6.
Yeah.
There were clearly, when I went and took pictures, I don't have my phone with me tonight, but there were 37 vehicles. Now, I mean, if that isn't a violation of
I'm
your
not
6.
disputing that, but what I would be curious on is if, so say the dealer can then turn around and say, okay, well, these are all repairs, how do you prove, how are they, we're in a position where we have to prove that they're selling those cars.
Yeah.
Cause I just feel like that I don't disagree with you at all on, if they have 6 cars to sell, that's all they should have. But if they have other vehicles on that property, I just don't, I'm curious. I have questions on how do you validate that those are not for sale, and then to your point.
Well, that's
I mean,
very easy. I
Do
mean,
they have titles?
this is very easy. Every year, and I know the building inspector has made every attempt over the course of the year, sent notifications. Every vendor in this town that has a second-class car license is supposed to report how many vehicles they have sold during the course of their license during the year. He has had delinquency year after year, gone to their doors and still can't get a hold of them. And honestly, it probably shouldn't even be, when we give out these licenses every year, we probably shouldn't even be giving them a license. So, I mean, that's an easy fix. I mean, that's an obligation that they do have. They are supposed to show that. But I mean, we have a problem at hand right now, so we either do it or we don't do it. So, I mean, that's my motion.
I don't disagree on this. I'm just saying, if they're able to repair vehicles on that property as well, then how are we able to distinguish which ones are for sale and which ones are being repaired?
Did the study committee look into that at all? Did you guys consider
Like,
that one?
is there
I'm
a
sorry?
limit?
Did the Cracker Jack committee look into that? The code 2, what is it, the second class? Wasn't there like a study group that we
Oh, we
voted on
have,
last
and
time?
we have a proposal to come up to, but we didn't, but we're talking about the price, you know, the site approvals, you know, which will all be brought before the board, because the board has the authorization to
Right.
do it. But I'm sorry.
So that's, so all I mean, like, there's no limit on how many vehicles
Yeah, you can
can be
repair.
repaired?
Right.
Is
Well, the
that,
point of it is, it's his license is for sale.
but
we
he
said
also
it's a
has a license
multi-use
to repair there, right?
Well, I mean,
I'm
he said he was gonna do, I mean, it's just like the gentleman down on Brook Street. He's never had less than 20 vehicles on that property, okay? He is having vehicles to compare. He's got 2 Benz, or not Benz, but 2, what do you call it? Areas, what am I trying to say?
But the,
Help me out here. 2 areas where he can do 2 vehicles.
Bays?
Bays, thank you. He's got 2 bays. So, I mean, you can only do so many vehicles at a time. So how do you accommodate to say, well, I've got 40 vehicles, I've got obligations to get to them? Well, the next thing you know, you got an exposed junkyard, and that's what you have over
Yeah.
there. So, I mean, we
can
could go
I,
on and on and on about this, but
can I just add the figure of like 37 vehicles, 40 vehicles, that's not hyperbolic, right? Somebody like, is somebody actually, well, I can,
This is like 3 rows.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, everyone, there's auto shops all in town. Everyone has an idea of how many cars are there. That's maybe like 4 or 5 tops if you're repairing vehicles. I mean, to Mary Rose's point, like, you only have so much room. So, I mean, if there's that many cars there, if he's repairing that many cars and they're sitting there, I think that should be a problem as well. And the building inspector, unless this is incorrect, this is saying the building inspector went down there, approached them, and requested that the vehicles be removed. So the building inspector must have done some type of vetting, inspection, discussion. I mean, so I kind of agree that we could sit here all day and I mean, I don't know what the evidence standard is. I don't think we need DNA evidence that, like, all these cars are one thing or the other. I mean, you just look at it, it's clearly over the amount that we approved. And for him to say that 33 cars or whatever are just sitting there waiting in various stages of repair, I mean, that's just kind of
But that-
ridiculous.
I mean, that's the point.
That's
what
the
we're saying.
whole, that's the
Yeah.
whole, that's what we're
That's what we're
pointing
saying,
out
like,
is,
we don't know.
there's no way, like, if they have 6 vehicles that have for sale signs on them and none of the other ones do, then how are you, like,
You can
if,
force
so I
it.
guess what I'm
Yeah.
driving towards is, maybe there needs to be,
What you're driving towards is anyone with an auto shop can have 150 cars on their
there
lot,
anything-
as long as they say that they're
is there
repairing.
anything in
I
zoning
mean,
that would
that's what I'm
prevent them?
saying,
It's
like,
insane.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we
But
start
it's
to
their
try to-
business and their livelihood, so it feels very uncomfortable to say, we think you might be doing this, versus you have a license to repair, you are allowed 20 car. I mean, I honestly feel like the wetlands encroachment is the kind of the bigger issue, but, I mean,
I think
to
you guys
Matt's
are split.
point, you can't, I mean, it feels like there's more on there, but you can't really,
Well, the building inspector seems to think that they have too many on there. It's not like
I mean, I
someone
think
just.
everyone feels like there's too many on there, whether the license that we've provided
But I
them or
mean,
the.
to Eddie's point, I mean, it's not for us to prove. He came in for 6 cars. That's what we gave him was 6 cars.
There's 2 licenses for that property though.
Oh, well, I don't, I mean,
I mean, if you
could go on
had 30
forever. I don't-
out there with for sale signs, then yeah, absolutely, but it's hard to tell, it's just hard to tell.
So I think,
And he can come here, and if he disagrees with what we're trying to do, he can come to the select board and protest the action that we're trying to take, and he can try to explain himself. But I agree with Mary Rose, like, I respect you guys, I just think you guys are kind of splitting the atom on this one. I don't think it's that complicated.
no, I'm not disagreeing with Mary Rose. There's not one thing that I'm disagreeing with what she's saying. All I'm saying is, if there should be, then there should kind of be another layer to the
Clarity. There's like-
mechanic piece of it where, you know, there should kind of maybe be a consideration for a definition of, you
How
know,
many you
this property based upon the footage, you know, you could have 10 vehicles in your yard that you're repairing.
Okay.
Or
and-
just
and
10
that-
vehicles, period, if
And
you
in
wanna
the,
sell.
in the 18 months, while we figure out what that number is gonna be, like, this person's just gonna be able to, like, have as many cars there as possible. It just, things don't move quickly like that. I think we're better suited backing the building inspector, telling this guy he's got 30 days to clean up his
No,
act.
zoning-
If
it's
he
a
has
zoning agent.
Or zoning agent, telling this guy he has 30 days to clean up his act, and if he has a problem with it, to make an appointment to come to a meeting and try to justify or explain why he has so many cars there.
And again, I'm in full support of the motion, and I'm going to support it tonight. I'm saying that there has to be an understanding that this person could turn around and say, or let's go to court, because these are all being detailed and these are all being repaired.
Well, then, I got another question for you. Why would this board want to give any second-class car license to anybody that comes before this board in the future? If that's our situation,
What, situation on what?
that someone comes over to that table there and says, I want 6 cars. We give them 6 cars, and actually, that gentleman's in the neighborhood, because there's a house right behind him. There's a
Yeah.
house next to it, okay? So these second-class car licenses can be any place, but to Eddie, the next thing you know, they got 40 cars there, and they say, oh, but I'm going to be working on those cars in the future. So what do you
I guess that's-
have?
Do they have
That's
a-
my,
a
do they have a
mechanic
license to do,
license? Yeah.
Well,
do
see,
that?
I
I mean, if
could
you
go
I mean,
back.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know, I mean, I'll
Does
remove
this-
my motion,
No,
it
no,
doesn't seem like
no,
it's
it's-
gonna go anywhere, it just goes on, this board just goes on forever and ever on an issue. I mean, it's just,
We say we had 6 cars out there. I mean, does this
I've
business,
never-
Mary
I've-
Rose, does this business have another license for a mechanic?
I'm saying
Do you
that
know
the
this?
mechanism, if you want to bring this to some kind of solution, is you go to the zoning agent, tell him to send a letter, he's got 30 days to clean the place up, if he doesn't, we have the authority to revoke the license. That is my motion. If I get a second, fine, if I don't.
You're-
Second.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
already-
I already second.
All right, well, I'm still trying to figure this, for people that are in favor of this motion, Julie and Matt are really confusing me, because it just doesn't seem like they're in favor of it.
No,
They keep saying they're in favor of it.
I'm saying, I think you've omitted a big part of this. You have 6 cars. We gave you 6 cars, but you don't have to, but there's another component to this that
but
might
it's
come
not
back.
for us to solve, he has to answer those questions, Julie.
Julie, it's
I'm
30,
in
I mean, it's
favor of it, but
37
I'm just
cars.
saying, I don't know if you keep
I
saying
mean, I
6
feel
cars,
like
6
you're
cars, 6
defending this
cars.
gentleman who was
I am-
obviously in violation.
I am putting
Yeah,
forward a secondary view. I'm
that's
sorry
fine.
you're so passionate about this 6
because-
6 cars, but like, there is another factor. This is this person's livelihood. I'm just saying, is there a mechanic license or right to repair license that is tied into this property? I'm just asking.
That justifies 30 cars being on his lot that are in.
I have no idea.
Isn't there due process, right? Like bring the person
Yeah.
in, make the person speak 100%.
Sure.
But you can't just go with the assumption that
Yeah.
there's this person selling 37 cars, and that's what I'm
Well,
hearing.
that's
Do I
what,
think it's
that's what,
excessive?
that's
Yes.
what my motion says, he can come in there, but if he doesn't clean that place up, he's got every
Absolutely
right
agree.
to come up there.
I completely agree with you.
I
on
mean,
that.
Yeah, I just, I think the burden of proof
Lost my
should be more so on them than it is. on us.
Absolutely,
In
Eddie.
this instance, like, we're not talking about sending someone to prison or something. This is a license to operate. We have some discretion. We have some problems with what we approved and what we're seeing. Bring the guy in here, let him explain what's going on, but it doesn't look good. I see no problem with taking the course of action that Mary Rose is
I have no
proposing.
problem with the zoning inspect, like, no problem with that. Like, I'm just saying, might be another layer to this.
We're gonna stitch up the wetlands on Wednesday. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, move your cars back from the wetlands is probably a bigger issue, but, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. You never sure what's gonna be a big discussion. All right, town administrator search process. To discuss next steps, so, our human resources manager, Ray Gary, is going to help us with the next steps. So, we were provided, do you wanna? what- Yeah,
So we provided a preference deadline for applicants. We received 53 applicants. Of those, 14 were qualified based on just the basic functions of the job and based on the job description. You all received those 14 applicants and rated them. I do apologize, I did want to get this to you so that you had time to review this before this meeting. However, I am short one set of scores. So I did go forward with the 4 that I did receive, so if it's okay with the board, I'd like to distribute this.
yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
So we had quite the range on the scores here. We were looking at a range of about 149 points. The median score was roughly 65, so that cut our applicant list down. I'm sorry, these are average scores. based on the scores that members of the board submitted. So of those 14, it cut it down to 7. So the packet that you received has those 7 applicants listed in there, in that order. The ones that are highlighted in yellow on those average scores are the ones that, based on the scores that you submitted and based on what I can see in those resumes and cover letters that were submitted, are the ones worth a discussion. However, I wanted to make sure that you knew what your options were, especially considering some of those scores were, had either a majority of the board who was more in favor than the other one person that wasn't so much in favor of them. No, initially the idea was that there would be open discussion on these applicants, but if the board would like to take the time to digest the information and then reconvene for discussion at another time, I understand. But I leave the decision to you.
Madam Chair, I mean, I would be in favor of at least starting with the top 4. Or, you know, and reaching out for availability.
I would, I agree. I was thinking maybe to do the top 5.
Not opposed.
Is anyone opposed to that plan?
Does it need a motion, or is it?
Might be,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we reach out to the top 5 candidates based on this scoring system to see their availability for a public interview.
Second.
that sound like a good plan? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Non-voting,
You're abstaining, or?
yes.
Okay. 4, 0, 1 abstaining. Does that sound good?
So,
Thank you.
just
Yeah.
one last piece, so as far as, availability, I guess does every board member need to be available in order for us to conduct? If there's,
No.
if there's quorum?
Yeah.
I would propose having some sort of a plan, something that's
Yeah.
structured, and that gives all of your applicants equal opportunity to answer the same questions. Especially knowing what you're looking for, and creating some sort of a scoring system from that also, so you can identify how much further along the interview process you'd like to bring them through.
That's a good idea. I think we did something similar like that on like the superintendent search. We agreed upon like a set number of questions.
Yeah.
That way you're comparing apples to apples with how people, asking this guy a certain set of questions and another guy a different set of questions. So I think that's a good idea.
And you can phrase the questions in a way that you're eliciting the response. So any response that you get from the applicant is fair game to ask questions on also.
All right, maybe we can work over the next week on a potential kind of look and timeline and plan and for our meeting next week.
Absolutely.
Should we set a kind of a goal for basically ask the select board to submit their questions they would like asked, and then you and Ray can kind of take the questions and try to see if there's common themes in some of them and boil it down to like, I don't know, like
Yeah,
eight questions or something seems reasonable.
yeah,
Could we have that done by Sunday? Like, I'm not saying boil it down, but any questions
Good
we
questions.
want
Right. a
submitted
deadline for
by
the submission.
Sunday, so
Yeah.
then it gives time
yes.
for the rest of the process.
You can say Monday since it's a holiday.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Monday? Was that what we said?
Yeah, if you have
Deadline.
questions, if you have specific questions that you want to include into the, like, we'll call them master questions that will be asked to every candidate, then do that. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for all your time and effort to do this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, are there any committee reports? None? Nope. Okay. I don't see any community announcements, but 1 second.
The parade.
Yeah. I don't know the details, so just trying to log in my email. We got an email from the veterans agent today about the Memorial Day Parade. So the Memorial Day program, the ceremony will begin promptly at 9 a.m. at Central Park. Followed by the parade, I think. Parade will start following the ceremony from the corner of Union and Walnut Street. So. Can we add 3 things to the website? Can we add the town meeting? Can we add the town election? And can we add this Memorial Day Parade? Either as a news item or on the calendar. I had asked about the town meeting election a couple weeks ago, so if we could get that up. So that if people are wanting to attend, they have those details on the website. Thank you. Okay. Any other community announcements people can think of? All right, we will now be moving from an open session to a closed executive session to discuss two executive sessions. First one is Article 3, firefighter, Step 3 grievance hearing. The second one is Article 3, firefighter union negotiation update. We will not be returning to open session after these executive sessions. I'll accept a roll call to enter into executive session.
Ed DeVault, aye.
Sean Kerrigan, aye.
Julie Bruce, aye.
Matt Cobus, aye.
Mary Dick, aye.